My name is Sam Lombardo, and I want to invite you to get involved with the United States Coaching Association. If we're going to do something about this leadership crisis, it's time for you to get involved. That's all I can tell you, is do it now. And my dad was a professional boxer growing up. All I had to do was outrun him, and pretty soon I would be outrunning his memory, and then we would have a good discussion. Growing up, I played sports, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't have the athletic ability to make the cut. And so I did not really get into organized sports as a young adult, and so I didn't really experience that. And I missed that because I love sports, and I also have been impacted by many people growing up that coached me on different levels, but not in an organized way. So long story short, as I advanced in my career, my first 10, 15 years was involved with organized labor. I served on a local board here for one of the local unions, and I really dealt with a lot of people problems, and I began to discover what my passions were. And at age about 30, I had a midlife crisis where I began to take a look and see, why do I believe what I do around the possibility of life after death? And so that's when my faith became real. And so at that point, I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to become a coach. So I enrolled into coaching school and began, quit the union and started a path down the path of becoming an executive coach. So I did that for 10 years. I coached over 200 executives, and I put together a coaching curriculum that really helped them learn how to build character and build relationships as they work through the adversity. And during that journey, I got involved with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, one of their studies for coaches. I was a coach, not an athletic one, but I thought I deserved to be at the table. And I was so impacted by what I saw and what I experienced and how it impacted other coaches. I really said, boy, this is a way you can make a serious difference. Because I began to take a look at all of our youth. And our youth today is at risk. And we spend a lot of time correcting them when they become adults. We should put more focus on them when they're young and use the vehicle of sports to influence them. I believe there's no greater machine out there that can influence our youth like sports. If you could pick our number one priority, it would be sports. And so I began to volunteer for FCA, and soon I fell in love with the organization. And about 4 years ago, I became the director. And from that point, I began to take a look and see how I could pull alongside of coaches and help them become the best coach they can be. Because I believe world-class coaches produce world-class athletes that become our future world-class leaders. And so I began to take a look at different curriculums and got to know other people that also felt that we could improve the quality of coaches and also challenge our youth in a way that would really help them get those life lessons for life. And along this path, I came across Mary Herrick, who's the founder of the United States Coaching Association. And we began to talk and discovered that we had similar passions. And so when I began to explain to her really what FCA is about, she said, we need a partner because I think together we can really have a huger impact in a short period of time. So as we began to build that relationship, I began to share with her who FCA is and who FCA is not. Well, FCA's mission, our vision is really to impact the world for Christ, primarily through athletes and coaches. That's our kind of our target audience. And so we began to talk how we could best do that. And one of the things I've noticed over the years was that it's very difficult to talk about your faith if you're a coach in public school because you can't mix the two. And so I began to take a look at how could we respectfully bring resources to the coaching population and respectfully approach that subject of faith. And so I began to identify what do coaches really want to do. They really want to have a lasting impact on today's athlete. And it's not just that they learn how to work out and win, but more so learn those valuable life lessons so that they can grow in their leadership capacity. And so I really studied leadership for a fair amount of years, and I've concluded that a leader is basically someone who influences others to act around a common goal. Well, that is the essence of teamwork and what coaches do. So I put together 4 bullet points that really define what a world-class leader is. A world-class leader does that. They lead others, they influence others to act around a common goal. But as they do it under these 4 points. The first point is they empower others by building confidence and teaching them how to generate capacity. We have too many victims walking around out there. Number 2, they know that there's no shortcuts. that if you're going to build trust, it's going to come through consistency of character. End of story. There's no compromise when it comes to integrity. Thirdly, they understand that a leader is at their best, a coach is at their best when they are developing the leadership foundation of those around them as they lead. So they think developmentally. I think one of the greatest coaches of that was Coach Wooden. I mean, he modeled that. He challenged them to be leaders, not just people of character. Then fourthly, leaders know, world-class leaders know why they lead. They've done their due diligence around life's biggest question. They have looked their mortality dead in the eye, and they know what they believe and why they believe it, and then they live it. And that's what you call a purposeful coach. They've resolved all of life's conflicts as best as they can, and they stand on a firm foundation. So what we do here at FCA is we bring resources to coaches that will help them grow in their leadership capacity so they can develop the leadership of the students or athletes that they coach. And for example, we just had David Cook, author of Golf's Sacred Journey, come in and sit down with Coach Gary Waters at Cleveland State and share with his team some of Dave Cook's journey around coaching world-class athletes. And as he did that, he was able to transfer all of his leadership learning. Now, as we did that, we did not mandate Christianity, but we expressed to them the importance of doing your due diligence around your worldview so that you're not just wandering around, so that you can anchor yourself and move in a direction. And if anybody wants to explore Christianity, FCA gives them an opportunity to do that. So we do bring leadership resources that can be in a faith-neutral offering, but we also challenge them to know what they believe and why. And we have found that that has been very well received. FCA has been around for 55 years, I think, or 56, 1954. Last year, I think we touched over 2 million kids through camps. We have FCA Sports Camp all across the country. We're in 47 states, and we bring in world-class coaches, world-class athletes that are people of character that have really endured a lot of trials and can speak from a lot of experience. And so it's a joy to be able to do that. So we impact athletes and coaches through coaches clinics, through summer camps, sports camps. We have every sport and then some. We have sports-specific ministry for some of the new games that are coming out. So we pretty much cover every sport there is under the sun. We have campuses on the high schools. And we try to also engage in the community, because if we're going to impact our future leaders, we need to become the future world-class leaders we want to produce. And that's pretty much the long and short of it. So I'm very excited to be partnering with USCA and can't wait to meet some of you as we move down that path to not only developing our future world-class leaders, but becoming them as we do.